CAF's vision is to free South Sudan of tuberculosis, zero death and mortality due to all forms of tuberculosis. CAF was founded in June 2017 by Philip Kuol Awou, a TB survivor. Kator PHCC is one of the TB facilities in Juba, together with Muniki PHCC. TB suspects come there for diagnosis and treatment, then later referred to Juba Teaching Hospital when in need of admission.
The reason why I came with the idea of Kuol Awou Foundation, it was the difficulties which I found when I was in Ethiopia in 1991. And the issue was that I feel myself as isolated among the community because my youth or my age mates, they're different than me. Why I have this tuberculosis to deport me among my group. So what I was been feeling it, I feel it like if I'm not better, the one which I was expecting me not to be affected another person like me. So I needed to eradicating tuberculosis not to be advanced, to deform another child because he used to deform the early age. And when I was being affected by tuberculosis, I was having like 13 years old. And it was a lack of support. No care, no good hospital, no another health that we can take care for others. But at the current stage, I say now, this tuberculosis cannot be advanced to affect another child. That's why I came up with the idea of Kuol Awou Foundation.
Lodule is one of the main inspirations behind CAF. He lived in a very poor neighborhood, which at the same time was at risk of TB. Because of lack of services and less TB awareness in the country, Lodule's case got out of hand.
It is very important to me because I like to take care for the people who have been deformed by tuberculosis and nobody helping them. So if God is giving me a catch, I can help. I can form the NGO so that can help the other vulnerable children who have been suffering with the tuberculosis like me. So I don't need it to keep continuing. While I see it is continuing, and if I have the power, I should help those kids who have been deformed by tuberculosis, yes.
He asked my name, and I told him. Then he said that I would like to help you. He asked me to bring him to my house. I took him, but my mom was not at home in that particular time. He met my sister, and he talked to her and gave her some money. He is an orphan. He lost his father. I'm alone going up and down with him. He was injected with cast line. They thought it was syphilis, but I knew it was not.
Yeah, actually, according to the Minister of Health, it was they're locating us in Upper Nile. And they said Greater Upper Nile. And Greater Upper Nile, there's some area which the government not go in, and there's some area where the NGOs not get in. So I said, I will recruit the people from those areas to identify all those young kids which have been suffering with the tuberculosis. And then after they reporting to us, after we find the cases, we are able to hire the doctors to give them a treatment, and we are able to make a centers from the area. After we're making a centers, we hire the doctors, and then the doctors will come and treating them.
Patients come here after coughing for more than 2 weeks. When suspected to be sick of TB, we right away send him for sputum checkup. He is not given antibiotics right away. If he or she is found to be positive, then right away we start with drugs and health education as well. We educate him on how to use the drugs. He or she should avoid taking alcohol and cigarettes. Most TB patients are young people. Many of these youngsters, men and women, are taking shisha and alcohol. The issue of food, most TB patients are malnourished. When TB suspects come for testing, they come with their laboratory form. We provide them with a container. They take it home with specific instructions on how to collect the sample. We tell them to use the very first sputum in the morning. We tell them to cough, breathe in deep 3 times to allow the sputum to come up, then spit it on the container. We use 2 containers, of which he takes 1 home. We advise him to make it very early in the morning behind the house to avoid contaminating those living with him. There is another container like this, the second one. The patient is given the same advice on how to use it at home. We insist that the sample should not be taken inside the house to reduce the risk of contamination. The sample should be taken in the morning before brushing your teeth. The third and last sample is taken here in our facility. We send them behind the lab. From there, I put it in a slice and then we start testing. Tuberculosis is an infectious disease caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis that affects the lungs and other parts of the body. It is a contagious disease. It spreads from one person to another person through tiny droplets released into the air through sneezing, spitting, and coughing. When the infection affects other parts of the body, it is called extrapulmonary tuberculosis. The main symptoms of TB are persistent cough for more than 2 weeks, fever, night sweats, chest pain, weight loss, and more. Tuberculosis is one of the world's most pressing challenges and one of the top 10 causes of death.
Tuberculosis actually is one of the killer diseases, and it can be cured and it can be treated. And when it was not explained to you in your brain, you can feel like you can hang yourself because it's making you to be odd among the people. It's making you to be ugly. It can break your back and it can make you to be shorter, and it make other person who cannot understand you just to look to intimidating you or just to look at you like you are a rubbish person. So it's making you to be a ugly people among the people. Those who are suffering now, the people who have been silenced by his parents because nobody like it.
The capacity of this lab is not enough to accommodate all these issues. So there is a need for separate labs. As now that lab is under renovation. Okay. It's okay. And when you come to the facilities of the using machine, because this process of this is we are calling this light microscope will take 24 hours for the patient to get the result. Okay. But we need the quickest result as much as possible. Like when we are using gene expert, so the result will be out within 2 hours, which will be beneficial to the patient, because some patient is a fear. When you give them the container, go and come back tomorrow, he may not come back tomorrow. Okay. But when it is that gene expert, and then we give a container, then patient comes with a sample, and then we tell him you stand by, and then after 2 hours we give the result. I think that one will be useful. So if CAF is willing to support, that machine will be appreciable. I think the other issue is you see the issue of human resource. Like now you see him alone. He's doing now the routine lab and then the TB.
CAF organization that is dealing in TB awareness in the country visited TB victims in Bor Hospital located in Jonglei State. Patients waiting to see doctor. Admitted patients under treatment. A baby born with severe form of tuberculosis from infected mother. I did not realize when I got TB, I am also busy working on the street. I am an orphan living on the street. I think I got sick when I was cleaning a store. It was too dusty. From there, I started feeling sick and I never recovered again. I was down for more than 7 days. My friend decided that I should be brought to the hospital. A Ugandan friend brought me here. Currently, I am taking antibiotic, TB medicine. Lodule, what do you want to be in future?
Dictor.
My son was given traditional medicine, but instead it got worse. His chest started coming out. At the beginning, he could not walk. He was given local treatment, removing blood from his back with a knife. I want this organization to take care of my son the same way they have started taking care of him.
I left from my home in 1987, in November. After I went to Ethiopia, we went to a military barrack and we have been trained as a soldier. After that, we came back to the camp. That was 1991. After we came back to our camp, then I feel it. When the rain was falling somewhere, then I feel my body that is feel pain. And I know that tomorrow the rain may fall. And then the following days, in the morning I was around 8 in the morning, I play with a handball, with a handball. Around 8 in the morning, I fall down. And then after I fall down, I could not able to wake up again. So when I try to wake up, I fall down. It paralyzed me. Until the people come and carry me up to put me on the bed. I hold the bed from the morning until 5 evening. And then after evening there, the wife or someone called Achinyan Makes. It's called, then Mama is called Nyaranyit. She came and took me to hospital. After she took me to hospital, I get some medicine. After I get the medicine, he brought me back to the camp. Then he came and boiling hot water, and then he massaged me. He massaged my back for 7 days until I turned my face down like this. I could not able to move alone. So it took me like 14 days. After 14 days, that was 1991. After I finished my treatment in Kakuma, I went to school. After I finished my primary, I went to secondary school in Kenya. Then after that, I got a little job in South Sudan. I came and I worked in South Sudan with some NGOs. Then I came and started clearing and providing agent in 2005 in three borders, Kaya, Nimule, and Nadapal. And the vision of CAP, it was in my heart, but I have no power to start to doing it so that to help the people who have been suffering on that. Now, after I started my business, it's continued until I came to Juba. After I came to Juba, I made my business, and my business is making me to be proud today to have CAP.
I came here in June 2017. I was too sick. I could not stand on my own. I was overweight before, but I lost a lot of weight because of TB. I got treatment here. At the beginning, the medicine used to make me dizzy, especially when I am in school.
You have been in my 3 centers, and I'm sure you had a lot of issues, a lot of challenges. So I really feel like if really you wanted to help us fill the gaps.
Actually, I can expand it, but we are operating based on the government policy. If the government show me the direction where I can operate it, I can do. But I cannot limit myself, because when I see it very far and I have the capacity to do it, I can do it before the government not came in.
One of the biggest challenges is human resource, the staffing, understaffing. That's one. Number two, lost to follow up. Lost to follow up, those patients who have started treatment, then they get disappeared. We don't know where they are. We call them lost to follow up. The third one is the MDR, multi-drug resistance. These are the challenges, main challenges. The human resource, capacity building, these are the areas. Capacity building is very important to build our patients, our staff capacity. Then the area of motivation. We need to motivate this patient, the staffing. You know, when I talk about motivation, I don't mean money. Yeah, motivation has a lot of aspects. So those are the things we need to do.
If there were help, if there were very good care support, it would have not deported me like the way I am now. But by then there were no good care. So, like the way I feel it, that the way I see, when I see other small child suffering with it, and he move on the road, and I see the way how he's hold his back. They say, I said exactly that was the way he was being doing to me. So, like this time now, I'm ready to fight tuberculosis, to eradicating, so that cannot deform another child like me now.
Our patients sometimes become very impatient and ask questions like, why is this drug missing, or why is it taking too long? We tell them to be patient and wait for 2 to 3 days, since these drugs are coming from far. Sometimes they request to be given drugs for 3 months, especially the soldiers.
I want to identify those who are suffering with the tuberculosis, and then we are going to give a message to the people, that to give a signal sign that if you feeling like this, you report yourself to this center, so that we come and give you tests, and if we find it's the tuberculosis, then we are going to give you treatment.
We want this organization to support these patients with food, and even us, health workers, we need support. A lot of TB patients are poor and much better than them. It is not easy to take the medicine with an empty stomach. I would like every sick person to come to the hospital and get treatment the same way I did. Our patients always complain about food. This is the drug that is given to the initial phase. It is not given just anyhow, like Panadol. It is given according to the body weight. Here are our patients' files. After 2 months of treatment, we continue with the follow-up. Once it becomes negative, then we write on our files.
This is when you look at this office, we have a TB drug. These are 4 combination drugs. That is called RHZA, the pharmacine, isoniazid, pyrazinamide, and tobutal. These are for you give for 2 months, and these are 2 combination with RH. After the patient complete the 2-month drugs, these 2 drugs you give this drug for 4 months, which is RH. In TB program, we divided a TB into 2, the category 1 and category 2. Those who are category 1, these are new cases who did not receive any TB treatment before, and those who are category 2, these are the patients who received a TB treatment before, and then in one reason or another, it became relapse or failure or defaulter. These patients, we admit them for 8 months, and we give them 4 drugs, and for 2 months, and then streptomycin. This injection of streptomycin for another 2 months. And then after 2 months, we stop the streptomycin, and then the patient have to continue with 4 drugs for another 1 month. And then we send them to the laboratory for sputum conversion. If the patient becomes negative, now we shift it to 5-month treatment, which is 3 drugs, RHE. And the children, we have a separate drug for the children. We have their own drugs. So this is these are 3 combinations, RH and this is E, ethambutol, because ethambutol has a side effect to the children. So we give a separate ethambutol.
First of all, let me start by TB control program in the county here. We have 3 centers. One, Juba Teaching Hospital is one of the TB center. Muniki PSCC is a TB center. Katol PSCC is a TB center. So we have total 3 centers in Juba. These 3 centers, we coordinate them by, on Monday and Thursday, we are seeing TB patients. So those who are smear negative from the other centers, they send them to us on Monday and Thursday because we have the referral clinic of TB control program. We have consultants and we have some doctors who are working here.
Actually, currently there were no donors, and I said and I'm looking the donors to come on board. We have been supported by the Ministry of Health now. Ministry of Health is the one which is going to identify us the donor which is going to be help CAP like global funds.
I received this document. I thought this was Kenya, but this is Kuol Awou Foundation. It's a very bright idea, and this is a health program, community-based health program, focusing on a very sensitive area of tuberculosis, and as one of the killers diseases. But the scientists tell us it's very simple to manage. But because of lack of health services in South Sudan, and in Jonglei in particular, there has never been a separate initiative for this tuberculosis, apart from the program that was initiated in the 90s by Mid-Air international organization that was based in Bidit. Today, I congratulate Kuol Awou Foundation, and we highly welcome Dr. Young and Deng Kuot because they are going to start a program that will be saving lives, that will be enlightening our communities and helping the Ministry of Health and Boer Hospital in issues dealing with tuberculosis. So you are highly welcome, Dr. Young. You are highly welcome, Comrade Deng Kuot. Thank you very much. Thank you for your welcome to Boer area. We have already our political support because they are supporting us. We'll also call upon the international community to support this foundation.
The challenge regarding the drugs, I have a challenge of transportation because these drugs are being brought from Juba and then the transport by flight. And this UNHAS, and UNHAS is not always bringing these drugs. Like now at the moment I have a drug in warehouse in Juba, but the way to bring them here is very difficult. Okay. So that is the main challenges. The other challenge is also UNHAS doesn't transport reagent because these reagents are very corrosive. So they don't accept to transport by plane unless we use a land, but we don't have a vehicle to transport this drug to Boer. So that is the very big challenges. The other challenge is the issue of human resource. Like now is also so now these TB cases are mixed with other cases, which is not good in TB control, infection control. It's not good to mix the TB patient with other patient. Like now where we are now, this building is combined with HIV cases, and those of HIV they are not supposed to be in touch with TB cases because their immune is already low, and these TB cases are infectious. So now these TB cases can give infection to the HIV patient. So we need also a separate area for TB rather than combine them with HIV cases.
But the problem why I was not studying earlier, it is because of there were no cash, there were no money, and you cannot start foundation without no cash. What I made, it is a business. The business I made is make me to form Kuol Awou Foundation as Kuol Cup. Because what I make, I take it back to the community so that to make me to form this NGO so that can help other people from the community. The way I see CAP it is depend on the interest of the people which are going to be helped. CAP is going to be grow big, whereby then when he helped the many people. But when he did not help the people, that whereby that the CAP will not come big. But if the CAP is continuing helping the people, the CAP will become big, will become beyond than the Ministry of Health in government of South Sudan.
Ya kwana nihna darin salam, ya kwana nihna darin mahaba, ya kwani mashakil hajabata, ainu mashakil karabu beletanina ke, ya Allah nihna darin salam, ya Allah nihna darin mahaba, ya Yahweh Baba